"Servant, here!" Abner cried to the red figure. "Away with this to Tatchester. Open 2 strings from the mouth of this bag and fill the roads and the air with snow, so that neither carts nor aeroplanes shall come near Tatchester. Let any clergyman who tries to get there be buried 6 feet in snow and not be found until the spring." "He cannot do that," the brazen head said. "He cannot take life." "Do not interrupt me, you," Abner said. "As for you, servant, take that bag to Tatchester, open all the strings and flood the countryside with the deepest snow since wolves ran. Make the drifts 8 feet deep round each cathedral door. Away with you." "I go, sir," the figure said, and vanished through the ceiling. Abner turned to the brazen head. "You have interrupted me, you have criticised me," he said. "All this establishment seems given over to mutiny. I will have you learn respect. You shall be upside down for a while." "I implore you, master, not," the head said, whimpering. "I say yes," Abner said. He plucked the head from its pedestal and jammed it violently down upon its upside down. It whimpered and wailed in that position. "Shut up," Abner said. "Listen to me and tell me the truth. Am I to have that box today?" he asked. "You will have it under your hand," the head said. "To do what I like with?" "To toss and to tumble. It will be your plaything." "Then I can open the sluices when I choose?" he asked. "Whenever you choose." "Ha!" Abner said. "Who will bring me the box?" "It will come under your hand," the head said. Kay was by this time trembling lest the head should say where the box was at this moment. It was at this instant that the poor upside-down eyes caught sight of the tiny figure of Kay near the door. Their eyes showed astonishment, then Kay felt they showed excitement. "He'll betray me now," Kay thought, "so as to be turned right side up again." Then he saw that the head was rebelling against Abner for being turned upside down. One of the eyes winked at Kay to reassure him. "What are you rolling your eyes for?" Abner asked. "You'd roll your eyes if you were upside down," the head said. "Who will bring me the box?" Abner repeated. "The spells won't let me say." "How soon will it be here?" "It's on its way to you now." "Is it near?" "It's very near." "Right," Abner said. "Now mend your manners there." "Oh dear," Kay thought. "He is to have the box after all. And what will happen to me when he gets it? And what will happen to all the captives? And what did he mean by opening the sluices? Did he mean that he is going to let water into the caves?" He had no time to consider these questions, for Abner strode swiftly out of the room. Kay had to follow him at once to avoid being shut in. Abner moved so swiftly to the left that Kay lost touch with him. Following on as fast as he could, he heard something which made his heart leap. "So Miss Caroline Louisa," Abner was saying, in some dark den in the rock, "you would not tell me about the box, though you must know all about it. Now, you may like to know that it's on its way to me. Nothing can stop it coming to me. Once before you stood in my way and were the cause of great trouble to me and mine. I promised that I would get even with you. I'm going to be even with you, never fear, quite soon. And even as water it'll make me, for water, when released, finds its own level, they say. This time I shall pay off all our old scores. Goodbye." Caroline Louisa did not answer, but Kay heard her cough and knew that she was there. Abner came striding back past Kay. There came a sudden noise of a door rolling in a groove. The cave suddenly became bright with light. Kay saw that a door in the rock had slid back. Beyond it, a curious motor car, thickly sprinkled with snow, was being opened by masked men, who dragged from it 2 figures whose arms and legs were lashed and whose heads were in felt bags. "Ha!" Abner said. "The Tatchester trustees, I presume, working no doubt double time, like good friends of the cathedral, to find clergy for these services. Excellent work, but it must be interrupted for the first time. First, action, then contemplation. Remove them to the cells, but stay one moment. It is snowing, I perceive." "Snowing?" one of the masked men said. "You've said it. I've never known anything like it. It came on all of a sudden, so blind I thought we'd never get through." "Nice seasonable Christmas weather," Abner said. "A white Christmas, eh? Well, well. Remove them." After the 2 men had been dragged away into the darkness of the corridor, Abner went to a recess where there was something which looked like a typewriter let into the rock. He touched some of the keys of this, then spoke into the mouthpiece. "Is this the Tatchester Evening News?" he asked. "The News and Associated Papers? Father Bottledale speaking. I wish to give a message to your evening edition. Perhaps you can make it a special edition, that there need be no alarm whatsoever about the services in the cathedral at Tatchester. Got that? Even if none of the missing clergy can be restored in time, it will be possible for my organisation to supply all the services with qualified clergy. You can print a special edition to that effect at once, can you? Actually have the copies in the streets in half an hour, can you? Splendid. Let there be no anxiety whatever. And you will acquaint the London evening papers, will you? Is that all is arranged? Father Bottledale of the Ecclesiastical Training Centre will see that the services are supplied, although there can be little doubt that the practical jokers, for such they must be, will relent in time. Thank you so much, and will you allow me to wish you the very happiest of New Year's and of Christmas tides? Are you running any particular Christmas charity for the old or the sick or the poor? Oh, will you allow me to put my name down for £25? Father Bottledale. Yes, Boddle. Thank you. A most happy Christmas. Thank you. And add that Father Bottledale, which is the good people of Tatchester, a most happy Christmas and New Year. Thank you. He closed the recess and moved away. Kay saw a happy smile upon his features. In deep thought, Abner moved along the rocky gallery. Kay followed with some difficulty, for this gallery was badly lit. Kay heard a continual murmur of water falling. Presently he judged that the noise was not coming from falling water, but from violent sobbing and lamenting. When they came near to the noise, Abner turned on the light. Kay could see an iron cage, at the bars of which were pressed some white faces, whose haggard dark eyes made black patches on the flesh. "Ha!" Abner said. "My vocal and orchestral friends from Tatchester. The choir, I think, and it's our cocoa, as you like it. And do you admire our brand of bun? Now listen to me, boys. There is something very disgusting to me in the undisguised grief of boys who do not carry handkerchiefs and use the back of their hands. Stop snivelling, you little beasts. Do I see Dr. Blowpipe, the famous organist? Now then, tell me, you, Dr. Blowpipe, and you, organist assistant, and you, members of the Tatchester choir, which of you has the box of delights, and where is it?" Dr. Blowpipe and some of the elder members of the choir asked him what on earth he meant. "You know quite well what I meant," Abner said. "Where is it? Cole Orleans, box of delights." All repeated that they knew nothing whatsoever about any box. They protested against their imprisonment and asked to be set free at once. "Very well," Abner said. You've had your chance then. Your bloods will be on your own heads. You are doomed. Tonight there will be no more choir boy, no more tenor, nor baritone, nor bass, no more Dr. Blowpipe. Somebody else will play the Requiem in D minor, and very soon, because little Abner will turn on the tap and let the water in." He paused and then added, "Midnight will soon strike on the cathedral clock, and there will be no service in the cathedral. No, for the cathedral staff will be rolling. Where Alf the sacred river swishes, with organist and boys and bishes, down to a sunless sea. The box is coming to me, let me tell you. I shall turn on the taps, let me tell you, and you had better turn off your taps, let me tell you, for you will have enough water for when that happens." He walked away, followed by threats from Dr. Blowpipe and cries from the baritones and basses. "You get us out of here, my joker! This has gone far enough!" There were piteous wails from the choir boys. "Oh, please, sir, do let me go home! Oh, sir, have mercy!" The voices and crying died as Abner sped swiftly into the recesses of the cavern. Kay followed as quickly as he could. Abner, who knew the way, walked by the aid of a torch, which he flashed on from time to time. The voices and crying died as Abner sped swiftly into the recesses of the cavern. Kay followed as quickly as he could. Abner, who knew the way, walked by the aid of a torch, which he flashed on from time to time. Kay, on his tiny little feet, had to hurry as best as he could after the occasional flashes. Sometimes he fell into some pit in the floor and bumped himself. Sometimes he ran into a projecting stone and bruised himself. He felt to the full the misery of being tiny. From time to time he thought, "If there should be a cat anywhere down in these cellars, I shall be pounced on and done for." Presently Abner turned on a permanent light. Kay could see that they were in a broad gallery, in the side of which, backed against the rock, was a cage of strong iron bars, raised a little from the floor. In the midst of the cage, heavily chained, was old Cole Horlings. Abner walked up to within a few feet of the bars. "Master Cole," he said, "or Master Lully, great master, the time has come for us to speak together. You are so beset by my power that you can never escape from here without my leave. I come to tell you that the box is now on its way to me. Nothing can stop it coming." Once, long ago, you walked from Spain to Italy to buy the box with your elixir of life. I will sell you the box for the elixir. Will you deal?" "No," Cole said, "because you are a greedy scoundrel, unfit to have a long life." "I will repeat the offer once more," Abner said, "but only once. After that, you'll see." As he turned away up the gallery, seizing a shoelace, Kay swung himself into the fold of Abner's turned-up trouser, so that he might not be left behind. He was so light that Abner did not feel him scrambling there, but walked swiftly on. Kay found his perch pleasanter than the walking had been, but still a giddy way of travelling. Hanging within the fold of cloth, he was tossed and banged by the rapid going, until Abner stopped, unlocked a strong room, entered it, and shut it to behind him. It was a stronger room than any that Kay had thought possible. No sound of any sort came within it. The walls might have been more than a foot thick of solid iron. It was brightly lit. It was about 9 feet high and 12 feet across. On one side there was a small sofa with cushions. On another side there was a table which stood an open iron deed box on top. A chair was near the table. On the walls opposite were shelves holding iron deed boxes, labelled with capital letters R-E-P-S-D, etc., etc. Abner went to the table and burrowed in the open box. "Yes," he said, "we have done not badly with our little ventures, not badly at all. When the box of delights comes, I can sail with these to my quiet island. Raymond Lully will see wisdom. He will grant me the elixir too before I go. But I must have a look at these once more." He felt at the door to be sure that it was closed. "Strange," he muttered. "Once before, when I had my hand on such a great treasure, that little boy, Kay Harker, upset my schemes. Why should he come into my mind now? He better not come into my presence." At this he produced from his hip pocket a pistol, which he put upon the table beside him. Kay slipped from the trouser end to the floor, where he could watch. Abner opened one of the bags of the deed box. "Ah, the Duke's rubies," he said. "The setting is rather coarse. Those Victorians were heavy in the hand, but they are a rare crimson, worth 30,000 if they are worth a penny. And those emeralds, 20,000. And these are the pearls. We have done well in pearls, and they are very light to carry. Fashionable things, pearls. Liver disease in the oyster, I understand, but ladies don't know that. Ah, this was the Countess's that there is such a fuss about. And this was Mrs. Julius Kay, what's her name, who offered the big reward. And this was the dancer's, a very foolish young woman, if I am any judge. 94,000 the 3. That shows you what love will do. Then these big ones, anything up to 50,000 these, and these are my sapphires. Blue and yellow, my favourite stone." Kay saw him turn out a little bag of sapphires onto the table. "Ah, I can never part with these," he muttered. "There is something about this blue and this yellow. Why anyone should prefer any other stones I cannot think. But now for the real box, the rich box." Kay watched him open a silver jewel box, which contained what looked like rolls of brown paper. He unrolled some of these. Kay could see the glitter of pendants, necklaces, coronets, and stars of glittering diamonds. Abner chuckled as he played with them. "All the clever jewel thieves in this world," he muttered, "have worked for little Abner getting these, and then these stones from the mines that the kind black men kept for little Abner. What a lot of burglars have had anxious nights, so that little Abner must have his quiet island. Dear, dear, and where are the burglars now? Boxed up in iron bars and granite, most of them. Well, they meet their friends there, and they have time for thought. There must be a matter of 300,000 in this box alone. I shall retire. It's enough even for me. Strange," he said, "strange, that little mildew of a boy is in my thoughts the whole time. The trouble with me is that I have too much going on, and I've been doing too much in these last anxious days. I've had no proper rest. It's as wearing as a war, this kind of thing. I think I will take a nap. That'll do me good." Kay saw him slip off his shoes, take off his coat, lie down upon the sofa, settle the coat over his toes, shake the pillows a little, and fall instantly asleep. There Kay was, shut up in the strong room for what seemed like hours while Abner slept. "What shall I do?" Kay thought. "Shall I go home and tell the Lord Lieutenant or the Colonel of the Tatster Regiment that there isn't a moment to lose? No, of course I know what I'll do. I'll go to Caroline Louisa and ask her advice." He had only to twirl the knob and speak his wish to be whirled to the corridor where she was prisoned. But here he found himself beset by magic. He called, but she did not hear. He groped, but could not find the prison. Heavy felt blankets came his way, tripped him up and baffled him. Besides these, horrid little aeroplanes with snouts like wolves came snapping at him. He was soon glad to wish himself back in Abner's strong room, where he found Abner just waking from a nap. He was growling as he woke that he would soon teach them. Kay realised suddenly that, tiny as he was, his suit of grey was very conspicuous against the red carpet. "If I am not careful," he said to himself, "I shall be seen." Abner rolled over towards him and opened his eyes, then rubbed them. Kay pressed back towards the wall and lay down along the edge of the carpet. Abner sat up, slipped on his shoes, put on his coat, rose and stretched himself. "Ah," he said, "a very snug little snooze. Now let me see. Of course, the first thing is this boodle. I have packed most of it. There is nothing like going over things a second time. I may have left out something." He looked at his watch. "I have had a sleep," he said. "Come on now." He took the deed box from the table and laid it on the floor close to Kay. Then he knelt down and unpacked its contents. Some of the bags of jewels almost fell upon Kay, who trembled in every limb lest he should be seen. "Oh, what shall I do?" Kay thought. "He is bound to see me. Shall I twiddle the knob and go home? It is no good going to the inspector. He simply will not believe the things I tell him, and I must stay here to learn more of this place if I am to rescue the others." He lay still, hoping that Abner would not see. Abner was intent upon the jewels. "Rubies," he said. "Emeralds, pearls, diamonds, my own sapphires. There, I knew I had forgotten something, the cat's eyes. I do not value those silly stones myself, but those Eastern kings think the world of them and pay just what one asks. Well," he said, "we have done quite well in cat's eyes. Here we are." He took some packages from a shelf, removed some of the packages already packed, and began to restow the box. "No," he said, when he had finished. "Even now it won't do. I must get some amethysts in." He pitched out one of the packages, poured loose amethysts into the box, shook the box to make them settle down, and then snatched the packages lying on the floor and crammed them in on the top. In his hurry, he picked up Kay with one of the packages, not noticing him, pitched him with the package into the box, jammed him down tight, so that Kay's bones were nearly smashed, then squeezed him fast with a couple of packages. Then he shut the lid, sat on it to make it close, locked it, passed a chain round the outside of it, apparently secured the chain with a padlock, then lifted it with a jerk and banged it down on the table with a jolt, so that Kay was shaken, squeezed, banged, bruised and battered, and though the coals had been delivered on top of him. By kicking and struggling, Kay managed to reach the top of the heap, so that he could breathe what little air there was. "This is enough for me," he muttered. "I will go home." Struggling hard, he contrived to move his arms and felt in his pocket for the box, but alas, it was no longer there. It must have been jolted out as he struggled among the jewel bags. The precious box was gone. There he was, no bigger than a mouse, perhaps 40 miles from home, in a strong room in a prison in the rock, padlocked and chained within a locked iron box, which was perhaps soon to be carried to some distant island. He heard Abner putting things on the table beside him. He heard a cork drawn. Then he heard Abner apparently cracking walnuts. There came the glug-glug of something poured from a bottle. He heard Abner's teeth crunching nuts and his lips smacking over his drink. "A very pretty little port," Abner was saying. "A little lacking in body, but a pleasant afternoon drink." Kay heard the glug-glug repeated more than once. Then Abner picked up the deed box from the table and shook it. "Ah," he said, "not many people shake £500,000 of jewels in one go. Now, soon I shall be aboard the submarine, speeding through the billows. This day next week, instead of a foot of snow, there will be the tropical island. Instead of my pouncer, there will be peace. And instead of this brotherhood, I shall have that box of the past to enter at will. Oh, happy Abner. And think of all the benefits that I have conferred, the stimulus that I have given to the jewel trade. Half the noble families of England, you might say of Europe, have had to buy new jewels because of me. Think of the impetus this has given to the mining industry. Many black and brown creatures in remote parts of the world are munching the banana of content in full employment when, but for little Abner, they might be sitting in the sun doing nothing, starving. Now very likely they can even go to the cinema. Then, too, the benefit that I conferred upon the church. And all this clergy of the diocese that have perhaps embittered years thinking that they would never get promotion. What is the clerical name, by the way? Not promotion, not translation. Preferment. Now, one swoop, the curate becomes a rector, the rector a canon, the canon an archdeacon, the archdeacon a dean, and the dean a bishop. Think, too, what I will do to the tourist industry. Thousands will come to Tatchester to see the scene of recent outrages. Hotels will prosper. Tea rooms will enlarge their premises. The master masons of Tatchester will obtain an enormous sum of money by public subscription in order that they may put up a memorial to the martyred clergy. Tatchester, represented as something between Britannia and, shall we say, Miss Garbo, will be seen weeping in a recumbent position, or perhaps clinging to the foot of a big stone cross. In my retirement in the peaceful Ireland, I will think I sent them some designs, the tears of Tatchester for the missing Bish. When the memorial is unveiled, of course, there too, Tatchester will benefit through me. A general holiday, the Lord Lieutenant of the county, yeomanry parading, a platform in the cathedral precincts, and the Tatchester Light Infantry brass band. And this romantic pile here will be all water underneath and charred ashes above. I will open the sluices now. I have emptied 6 gallons of petrol in the older parts of the house downstairs where the wood is driest. A wax vesta on my return from Tatchester will suffice for that. With what slender shall I pass from here? A gurgling flood deep down in the caves and a roaring bonfire above. Having finished his speech, Abner said, "Now come along." His rest and refreshment had put him into a merrier mood. Kay heard him open the strong room door, which he slammed to behind him. He set out walking fast, swinging the deed box to and fro, and singing light-heartedly. Each swing drove hard knobs in the bag onto some part of poor Kay, who rolled this way and that, out of breath, banged, bruised, almost suffocated, and forced to lie downwards with arms outspread to keep from being shaken under the bags.